Greetings, Gretas and Handales. This is Mad Hatter Patrick, and welcome to the final chapter of Spyro Month. We went through many games from the post-trilogy, from the highly profitable Skylanders series to the soft decency of Hero's Tale to the dark abyss of the Legend series. Well, at least one of them. But now, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for, the original trilogy, but with a different look. Ever since the huge success of the remastered Crash Bandicoot series, the Insane Trilogy, there was an immediate popular demand to revive Spyro 1, 2, and 3. Not only that, it also sparked more popular video games to be remastered in current consoles such as PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. But in order to get Spyro right, Activision had to get help from Skylanders developers Toys for Bob to work on music, visuals, and voiceovers. They also need to use the Unreal Engine 4 to render the games and have Tom Kenny reprise his role as the dragon in all three games. Put all those ingredients together and we finally found the promised land. Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. Insert your thank you for releasing me here. This is Spyro the Reignited Trilogy. First off, I'm going to quickly summarize all three games to get them over with because they're pretty much the same as their original counterparts. In the first game, the dragons turn into crystal stone by an evil villain named Nasty Nork, and it's up to Spyro to free the other dragons and stop the villain. The second game is about Spyro trying to get to Dragon Shores on vacation, but he ends up in Avalar by Laura, Hunter, and the Professor. They summon him to stop Rito and his monsters from taking over their realm. And in the final game, Year of the Dragon, a group of Rhinox and a sorceress apprentice named Bianca stole all the dragon eggs by orders of the sorceress. Now Spyro, Hunter, and their new friends must find the eggs in the Forgotten Realms and bring them back home. I'm not going to explain the stories too much, they all stay true to the original games, but I will talk about the three games individually as remastered versions on both the gameplay and mechanics. The one game of the trilogy that got all the upgrades is Spyro the Dragon. A while ago, one of the complaints back then was the first game's camera was too difficult to navigate. In this one, it's much more smooth and easy to concentrate. In addition, the first game now has skill points like in the later games, which you need to complete them to get an extra life, along with a special unlockable. Another difference is that the balloonist in each homeworld has spoken dialogue as opposed to the original.
Wow! I see you've been busy rescuing dragons, Spyro.
Another thing that's amazing is that if you press down the left stick, Sparks can now help you find any gems you missed in all three games. With the animation, they fully embrace the magic behind the Dragon Realms. They give some of the natural elements like grass and water a lot of life and give each character some detailed textures like the scales on the dragons and fabric on some of the Nork's enemies. Speaking of designs, the characters along with their animations stay true to their cartoonish looks. And because it's a remastered version, we finally get to identify what sort of enemies are we facing. No matter which portal you go into, the backgrounds are massive to look at with unique elements to give them their own identity. Like Dark Hollow has bookshelves scattered around the level, which I guess you can call this level a night library. Does anyone know where I can find a copy of the never-ending story? Shh. Quiet. This is a library. Sorry. But the biggest highlights are the dragons you free. They each have their own unique look to stay true to their homeworld. For example, there's a dragon in the Artisan that has a hammer for sculpting, another one in the same world that does painting, another one in Peacekeeper with a war gear, another one in Magic Crafter that performs magic, etc, etc. And that makes them more memorable than their PS1 counterparts. In the second game, it's second verse same as the first for the animation, and if you remember the second game, you still have the underwater climbing and head bash abilities you bought from Moneybags. The only difference is that they made some of the local NPCs in each level a different outfit, look, and voice actor. However, they gave all of them, including the main characters, more energy and expression to help them show their feelings. And come to think of it, there's a bit more action throughout the cutscenes instead of standing in one spot. All the minigames are still fun to play, except for the Alchemist Challenge because it's still annoying over the character wandering aimlessly in the danger zone, and you still have to replay it if you don't have the head bash ability yet. Also, some minigames like the Turtle Suit Challenge and Hunter's Monkey Challenge don't have that automatic wide camera angle, because you can still control the camera manually. The most major update on the levels in Spyro 2 are some of the boss levels, like Crush's dungeon does feel like a real dungeon, and Rito is more threatening than just a whiny ruler.
Why you
The third game, like the other two, is a spectacle to behold, and in this one, it's mostly in the same vein as Ripto's Rage, including when you play as Sheila, Bird, Bentley, Agent 9, and Sparks. But I think the major difference that stands out from a PS1 version is the portrayal of the debut characters. Like Sheila now has a safari outfit and red hair, Bianca is given a skeptical personality over the sorceress's plan on stealing the eggs, and the villain herself is seductive. I will say, unlike Ripto and Nork in the Reunited Trilogy, I actually prefer the sorceress's original betrayal in the old version because I felt like she was the evil queen from Snow White of the Forgotten Realms if she stayed in her disguised form. And is it just me, or does she resemble so much like the alligator from All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Now go guard the tunnels. Stop anyone from coming through.
And come back an hour later so we can make music together.
But that's only a nitpick. To the third game's credit, they add more dialogue to some characters, like the dragons from the first game are now in the intro, and there's even some lines on some of your future allies every time the villain summons a monster. And while we did manage to get Tom Kenny back to voice Spyro, all the performers nailed their acts, from Hunter to Laura to Moneybags to Bianca to everyone else.
But it's safe to say that the remastered soundtrack captures the spirit of the original music. So, do I really have to make a joke or even spell it out about this remastered trilogy?
Spyro the Reunited Trilogy is one of the greatest remastered games of all time. It stays true to the three main games while still upping the visuals, strong gameplay, and mechanics, and give the characters more character than what they had before. This is a must-have for Spyro fans. To narrow it down, Spyro the Dragon gets an A+, Ripto's Rage gets an A, and Year of the Dragon also gets an A. So the Reunited Trilogy gets an overall A along with the Diploma of Destiny.
And now to wrap this up, I'm gonna give my top 10 personal favorite levels of the Spyro Reunited Trilogy, homeworlds and bonus levels included.
Number 10, On Plains. Number 9, Dragon Shores. Number 8, Nasty's Loot. Number 7, Stonehill. Number 6, Seashell Shore. Number 5, Glimmer. Number 4, Midnight Mountain. Number 3, Metropolis. Number 2, Dark Hollow. And number 1, Fireworks Factory.
And that was Spyro Month. Thank you so much for watching my Spyro reviews, and I'm certain in the future we will have a different theme month next year. And since we are finally getting attached to these remastered video games, I think we're finally ready to have an original game based on the classic video games. But in all seriousness, what are the chances of a standalone sequel of a remastered game based on a classic would ever come into fruition?
Okay, how much is the pre-order? 300 gems? 400? I can also throw this as your bodyguard. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project every week. I'll see you soon.